Hey everyone, this is Andrew from mobileburn, and what you see before me are three different ways to take a photo. There's a good chance when you take a photo, you might be using one of these, a point and shoot camera, but more than likely, you're using one of your smartphones. There's a lot of trade-off with either one of these devices. With this, you get great apps, but your camera is not as good. With this, you get a far superior camera, but you might not get as many sharing options directly from the device. Wouldn't it be great if you can find a way to merge the best of these two different forms? And of course you can, and that's what brings me to this little guy, the Samsung Galaxy camera. Now this is a camera that's a little bit smarter than your average device. It has a 21x zoom lens, optical of course. You got flash on the side. You have your button to take photos, turn it on and off, record video, all of these great things that you can do that you get with a typical camera. But the difference is when you open this up, you have your, let me open this up really quick. Oh, wait. When you open this up, you have room for a battery. You have room for a micro SD card. You also have 4 gigabytes of internal storage, or you can even put in a SIMS card for HSPA plus, connect to AT&T's network, and then as soon as you take photos, all of your photos are automatically uploaded, or you can easily share to Facebook. But there's a lot more that goes into it, so we're going to take a look at that now. If you've ever wondered what would happen if you basically just slapped Android onto a camera, you don't have to wonder anymore because that's what Samsung did with the Galaxy camera. They basically took a point and shoot camera, made it smarter by including apps, and throwing Android 4.1 on there with TouchWiz. So for most purposes, this is basically just an Android device when you look at it from the screen aspect. It has a 4.8-inch screen, a 720p display, and it's very easy. It's very familiar when you navigate it. Okay, as you see, you're just going to typical apps. If you want to play Angry Birds, you tap on Angry Birds, and then you can just play the game. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go back home because you've seen Angry Birds before. What you really want to see here is the camera, and that's what makes this so interesting. The reason why this is an interesting device is because it combines the benefit you get of a better lens on a point and shoot with the expansion that you get with an Android device. So I take a picture here. Okay, once the picture is taken, normally if you had just this regular point and shoot, you take the picture, you'd bring it home, load them up on your computer, post them to Facebook, uh, post it to Dropbox, any type of thing. With this, you do all of that directly on the device. So I tap on the gallery. Okay, now I have the photo. If I tap on share, because Android has a share function that can send a photo to other apps, I can open this up in other places. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, tap share. It's a little slow at some points. I have options. I can put in my AT&T Locker, which basically is a cloud backup service, or I can do the same with Dropbox or Facebook. So instead of having to go to my computer, I can do things directly from the device. And that's what makes it so attractive. And of course, with Facebook or Dropbox, you can now set photos to automatically back up to the service. Same with Google Plus. So if I want, I can have every photo that I take automatically uploaded. And because this has HSPA built in, there's also an LTE model, but this particular model is the HSPA Plus model. I don't even have to wait until I'm on Wi-Fi. I can do this right now and just tap Dropbox and I can upload the file. And then I'll say, you know what, the Galaxy camera folder that I set up before, upload this image, and just like that, it uploaded. Now, of course, because this is Android, you have more than just backup options. You have sharing options. I could share it to Facebook if I want, or I can go on another popular sharing place, which is Instagram, and I can alter the photo. But before I put it in Instagram, I want to open it in Snapseed, which is a really great editing suite that came out recently for Android. Okay, I'll adjust something, apply filters, drama. Okay, and then tap down saturation, swipe across. Now you see I've altered the image, and now I want to save it. I just save it. Typically, if you want to do this with a point and shoot camera, you'd have to load it into your desktop and find some desktop software. But the Galaxy camera lets you do that on the device, which is really cool. Like I said, the presence of Android makes this a truly unique device. For instance, while I was talking and taking photos, if you swipe down, you'll see that Google Plus Instant Upload automatically backed up my photos. Now, if I don't want it to do that, I can disable that in the Google Plus app. Or if I'm worried about possibly using up too much of my data that comes with the device, I can turn mobile data off easily. I can easily switch on Wi-Fi. If I don't want to have my location included in photos, I can disable GPS. So it's very typical, very easy to browse and use, right? But aside from that, you notice I had notifications from Facebook. I can reply to that as well. But let's go to something that's probably more common that you're going to do, which is Instagram, of course. I took this photo downtown. I applied a Snapseed filter, applied another Instagram filter, posted it, and I did all of that on the device. I didn't have to put it on my computer, upload anything like that, and people responded to it. If I wanted, I can add a message here easily. Let me add a message to someone else's photo really quick. Go home, and then I'll comment. And then you see the keyboard comes up. It allows you to type messages on the device, the virtual keyboard that comes. So it's very familiar. If you've used a Samsung Android device, it's basically just taking one of those, taking the Galaxy S3 or Galaxy Note, and putting a much better camera on the back. So it should be familiar to you, and it should allow you to access many of the same things that you have in the past. You have a menu button right here, a back button, and a home button. So I mentioned how you can always have the camera right here. You can have backups for Google Plus, for the what else, the Dropbox, Facebook, any of that. And you can access all of these great camera applications, Instagram, Pixel Express, Snapseed, all of that. But let's say you're out and about and you actually want to get some advice on what you want to do, where you want to go. You can go on Chrome. You can search for good places to take photos in your area. And because this has GPS, of course, you can have it narrowed down. You can also go back. You can browse your gallery on the device. And this is the Samsung gallery that's included in the Android 4.0 TouchWiz devices. So it has all the same options, a variety. You can choose dozens of ways to browse. Well, not dozens. That might be overselling a little bit, but several ways to browse. You can browse by album, time, location, person, groups, all of that. So all the photos that I've taken with location data in them will appear on this map. And then I zoom in, move out and about easily. Very easy to do. Okay, and aside from that, you have Play Store here. So of course you can download a lot of the apps that you wanted. I showed you earlier it has Angry Birds, so in case you're bored while you're waiting for your photo to upload, kill some time that way. It also has Play Music. I wouldn't really recommend listening to music on there, but there is a speaker included. You'll hear that with notifications as well. And aside from that, it has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So in case you want to plug this in, that might come in handy actually if you're trying to edit video on the device. Actually, you don't want other people to hear what's around you, or if you get bored and you end up watching YouTube. Of course, the things that I've just shown you can also be done on your phone, so why bring a second device into that? Well, I'll tell you why. It starts with this right here, and that's of course the lens. It has a much better lens. It's a 16 megapixel camera. It has 21x optical zoom, so aside from being able to zoom in a lot farther, let me launch the camera app so you can just see how the lens pops out. Obviously, this is going to best whatever you have on your phone in terms of the lens quality. Okay, and aside from that, aside from just the sheer raw power of the lens, you get a lot more controls. When you tap on mode, it gives you the option of switching to auto, so it automatically recognizes it. So when I take a photo of this, it takes a look at the amount of light coming in, the subject, and it knows what type of settings to apply if I want to just improve, just take a quick photo and then have everything work the right way. But I can also tap on Smart. Smart is where you get the software side of things. If you've used a Samsung Android device, you might be familiar with some of these features. For instance, Best Photo allows you to take a series of pictures one after the other, and then it chooses the best one. You also get Continuous Shot, which takes in rapid photos, like a split second basically. And then you have best face. So if you're taking a group photo and one person's looking down in one photo and then another person is looking up in the wrong way, you can take the best faces for multiple photos, stitch them together, and get one solid photo. You also do landscape, macro, action freeze, and rich tone, which is kind of like a full HDR. It balances the soft and rich colors, the highs and lows, and gets everything just right. Panorama, waterfall, silhouette, so sunset. There's a variety of settings that you can choose to improve the quality of your photo. But let's say that's not even enough for you. You want even more control. Tap on mode one more time and you go into expert. This brings on what you typically see in like a DSLR or sometimes a Micro Four Thirds camera, where you get to make manual settings. So I can do it here on the dial if I choose, or I can just tap on something. So if I tap right here, this allows me to change the exposure settings. I can change the ISO, be as little as 100, as high as 3200, or I can set it to auto and have it recognize for me. And I can also change the shutter speed, which affects the amount of light that's captured by the image. And along here, I can switch between the dial. I can go to video. When you go into video mode, it automatically starts recording as soon as you get away from this setting. But I say, you know what? I want to go back to where I was before. All right. And I'll press back. And it gives you a little helper right here to tell you the settings that you've applied for this current image. And if that's not what you want to use, you can just easily go back to auto and then take your photo once again. So obviously this has a much smarter settings for controls of when you're taking photos, and it's going to give you higher quality photos. So I'm going to show you some examples of that right now. You'll notice when you look at the photos that the blue background has some very nice colors to it, but the buildings on the left look a little too bright. That's actually because the sun is pointing directly at them. In this photo, you can see there's a lot of light on the right hand side. That's kind of where the sun is meeting the lens. So you can see that on the auto settings, this does a fairly good job of balancing the exposure. The LCD screen sometimes makes it seem like the exposure is set way too high, but that's really a failing of the LCD screen rather than the auto settings, which can be kind of a problem if you're going to be someone who uses manual a lot. Here's an example of the rich tones that I mentioned. There's a lot of light coming from behind it, but it still managed to take kind of like an HDR style photo where it balances lows and highs and does a pretty good job of mixing the two. Here's a shot of indoors under fluorescent lights. You just get a look at some regular muffins. Here's another photo that's showing a store display. You can see how the red picks up. You can see kind of the gold and the yellow. And speaking of red, you can see another in the next photo. You'll notice in the car behind me, there's a very bright red color that picks up. This is on a sunny day. It's a little redder than I remember it. Here is an actual scene. I just took this one so you can get an idea of the before and after. When you use an app like Snaptastic or Instagram to apply a dramatic filter to it afterwards, you can kind of get an appreciation of the type of things you can do with this camera. Here's another up close shot. You can see the difference in the focus between the foreground and the background. And here's just a couple of shots showing how the flash works. The flash can be a little overpowering at times, but it does a good job in low light, and it works fairly quickly. It doesn't get too out of control. As for the video, here's just a quick look of the video. It shoots up to 1080p, but the image stabilization isn't as good, and in the auto settings, it typically isn't as good. So this is one area where I'd recommend playing around with the manual settings first and always trying to get the best possible clip that you can. But here are a few other shots that you can see just how much wind it picks up and how the photo looks. The remaining shots were filmed in 720 rather than 1080. Keep in mind, this was recorded on a very windy day, so it's going to pick up a lot of wind naturally. The actual process of taking photos and video on the Galaxy camera can sometimes be a little bit laborious, but particularly because it has a very slow startup time from a cold start. When you it could take as long as 30 seconds if you haven't turned it on previously, but other than that, it's pretty good. As much as I love these controls, sometimes it can be a little much and sometimes it can fade away a little too quickly, but I haven't had too many problems navigating it. It does a fairly good job of giving you options. As you see, there's some lag when you're going between settings, but it's not something that's a deal breaker. You can always get back to home from right here, and when you tap on the screen, it focuses, and then sometimes it's out of focus when you're doing macros, so I didn't set this to macro. But you can always take a picture by holding down the top button, and if I hold down, it does the continuous shot and did the, I mean, sorry, not the continuous shot. I have it set to smart, so it did the rich tone shots. If I switch back to auto, take a photo, it's very easy. As far as video goes, you can get to that by tapping the video icon. And once you do, it's going to start recording. You see in the top left corner, it's immediately started recording. I can pause it. If I tap the top, it takes a picture while it's recording. And you can do that up to 6 times. So you can take up to 6 photos while you're recording a video, which I'm doing right now. When you press pause, it will pause it. And when you press record, it just resumes from the same spot you stopped. When you press stop, it stops recording completely. And now it's saving it to the SD card. Uh, as far as photos go, you have a lot of storage. It has 4 gigabytes of internal storage. You can also open this up and you can insert a micro SD card in case you want to expand and store more photos, of course. The battery is 1,650 milliamp, and it actually lasted me most of the day without issue. Battery life isn't even a problem for this, despite it being a very bright, because you're not using it continuously for hours at a time, unless you try to use this to listen to music and all that stuff. Like I said, you don't need to replace your phone completely. Just use this and focus on the better camera aspect. When you're recording video, like I mentioned before, it has 1080p HD. It also has microphones. And the thing I like about this, as you see how far this zooms out, you can actually zoom very far. So I was doing test shots from like down the block completely, and it was still getting very clear. If you're taking photos in the dark, you tap the flash button and that pops up to put it back just like that. As far as the physical device, it's a little thick. Unlike the phone, it doesn't fit snugly in your pockets, obviously. So you will need to find a way to walk around with this. I had some trouble putting it in my pocket. And when you're taking photos, initially it's going to feel a little weird because the shape of it, the design here, it puts too much weight on the right and it leads to an awkward hold. But when you use 2 hands, you should be okay, and you shouldn't have any issues when you're taking photos after you become accustomed to the build of this. It's a little bulky, but you do get used to it fairly quickly. The $1,000,000 question is, should I buy this camera with the options that I have in other places? What it really boils down to is the $500 question, and that's how much you're going to be paying roughly to get the Galaxy camera. It's rather expensive, especially in the point and shoot. When you consider that the camera I'm recording this video with, a Sony NEX5N, cost me less than $500, lens included, and has a superior lens, it's kind of hard to justify. Then when you factor in that in the point and shoot range, I have the Canon S100 that cost me only $380. This actually takes better photos than that. From a sheer photo standpoint, it's kind of hard to justify choosing that. Then you have to factor in the phone, a Galaxy Nexus or an iPhone 5, either of which will provide me not as good a camera, but same amount of options in terms of apps, and they're actually a lot more convenient because they fit in my pocket and I can access them more naturally as they were intended. So it really boils down to is, what's the selling point of this? What's the key thing that's going to make the Galaxy camera stand out above all these other options? And what it is that basically it's the combination of all the cameras that I just mentioned. It doesn't do anything just as good. It's not a specialist, but in terms of being all encompassing, it's pretty good at that. And what I mean by that, it's just so fun and convenient to have. It's nice to have a higher quality camera that you can put for Instagram. It's nice to be able to take photos of your child's birthday or Christmas and then just post them online to Facebook easily and quickly before you even leave the place, and you're doing it with something better and higher quality. And if I did choose to post a photo to Twitter, I can just as easily respond to the people that send me messages on this device. So it's nice to have those options. And that's kind of what makes the Galaxy camera appealing. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone unless they have the $500 to spare. And I know that's kind of saying a lot, but if you're in the market for a new camera and you're not an enthusiast that's going to be trying to take the most incredibly awe-inspiring professional level photos, this is going to be nice because you have all these camera options, and it's a little bit of it's actually a significant upgrade in terms of camera quality from what you get from your phone, even though it's not quite to the level of the high-end point and shoots or even the Micro Four Thirds. If you're not going to be trying to take DSLR level photos, this is going to be something that's going to be nice to have, fun to play with. And if you got the money to spend, I wouldn't be mad at you for spending it on this. This is Andrew from mobileburn.com, taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy camera. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe, ask questions, or anything like that.